Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 6. My name is Kurnia Rini and my friends Fadlil Muqimuddin will present about implementation of learning model in the framework of classroom action research. There are 6 content that we will explain. First is basic concept of PBI, second is stage of PBI implementation, third is advantages and the weakness of PBI, fourth conceptual framework for the implementation of HTA, next is data analysis method, and the last is success indicator. The first point is basic concept of PBI. PBI or problem-based instruction was first introduced in 1970s at the Mac University School of Medicine Canada Master as an effort to find solution through question according to the available solution. Nur Hadi said that PBI is a learning model that uses concrete world problem as a content for learning about critical thinking, skill in the problem solving, and obtaining knowledge as well as the primary concept of the subject. Next, there are 3 main characters of PBI according to Sanjaya. Namely, the first is implementing of PBI. There are a number of activities that must be carried out by students during learning. PBI does not expect students to not only listening, taking note, and memorizing, but through PBI students actively thinking, communicate, discover for themselves, analyze, and finally they conclude. The second point is learning activity are directed to solve the problem. The key word during the learning process is a problem. That is, students learn because there are a problem. Without the problem, the learning process is not carried out. And the third point is problem solving. Problem solving is done using an approach taken scientifically, namely critical thinking process. Learning material and problem can be taken from the textbook or from other source, from the example from events that occur in environment, in family and community. And next, PBI can only applied in the following condition. According to Sanjaya, there are 5 points. The first is teacher wants student to mastering and understanding the material fully. And the second is the teacher intend to develop student rational thinking skill, namely the ability to analyze the situation appropriately. The third point is the teacher wants student ability to solve problem as well as creating student intellectual challenge. The fourth point is teacher want to encourage student to be more responsible in their learning. And the last is the teacher wants student to understand the relationship between what is the learned with the reality in their life. The next point is stage of PBI implementation. According to Sanjaya, there are 6 points of PBI implementation. First is student have to realize the problem. Teacher requires student to awareness of their existence gap perceived by human of the social environment. So students are able to catch the gap that occur from various phenomena that exist, which may be more than one. The next point is formulating the problem. It will be related to clarity and similarity perception of the problem and relating to the data that must be collected to solve it. The next point is formulate a hypothesis. Students are expected able to determine the cause and the effect of the problem so that it can be finished well. The next point is collecting the data. In the scientific process of data existency is very important thing. Existing data will lead to the point to be taken to solve the problem appropriately. At this stage, students are expected to have ability to collect and sort the data, then map and present it in various views so that easy to understand. The next point is testing the hypothesis. It namely determines which hypothesis can accepted and which one is rejected. At this stage, students are expected have ability to review the data and discuss it at the same time. And the last point is determine the option for settlement. Is the final process in scientific process. Students are expected to have ability to choose possibility alternative solution that can be done and take into account the possibility that may occur in connection with alternative to be chosen. The third point is the advantage and the weakness of PBI. First is advantage. There are a viewpoint for advantage of the PBI. The first is it's a good technique for better understanding the content lesson. Next is challenging student ability to find new knowledge. Then increase student learning activity. It also helps students how to apply their knowledge to understand problem in real life. Then it also shows students that every lesson is something that must be understood by student. So they not only learn it, remember it, or take note of it. And the last is develop student interesting in learning more deeply as well involve themselves in solving a problem. The next slide is the weakness of PBI. Apart from its strength, PBI also have some weakness. There are 3 points of it. The first is when students have no interest or have no belief that studied problem can be solved, they will feel reluctant to try. The next point is the success of learning strategy take a lot of time to preparation. And the last, without understanding why they are trying to solve the problem that are being studied, then they will not learn what they want to learn. Various PBI development can be carried out by expert education, such as Barrow and Tamblin said, teaching model that is more at student based, so it's not teacher centered. The next is learning is carried out in small group, so it around 4 until 7 students. The teacher function is as a guide or a facilitator. The issue give become a focus and stimulus for learning. Next is the problem give our means for building capacity solution to problem. The new information it's for obtained through independent study, student as a subject after learning. The next is student learning actively by facing existing problem in real life rather than being patronized. And the last is provide deep learning. The next is there are some function from the application of PBI student. The first is cooperation, next communication, next is meta cognitive, learn, and problem solving strategy skill. Next is there are various things done by teacher and student in implementation of PBI. First is face problem in daily life. It said before that the focus of PBI is for facing the problem in real life. And the second is build idea regarding to the problem and learning objective by using the knowledge has been learned on during discussion. Next is divide tasks into group to solve the problem. And also doing independent learning, so it's not always a group, but sometimes they also learning by themselves. Next is discuss each other to finding with the teammate, and the facilitator can go around when student do the examining with their group, so teacher still can watch their student activity and can ask them what they don't know or anything. And last is students have to present the result of this discussion in front of the class. The next point will be presented by my partner, Fadlil. Time is yours.
Fourth concept of this subject is conceptual framework for the implementation of STA. To achieve maximum learning outcomes, the teachers should use an approach, a model, and method that is appropriate to the classroom situation. In this study, it is focused of one use of a model that is oriented towards improving English learning on second language classroom, namely the problem-based instruction learning models which designed through classroom action research. The fifth concept in this subject is data analysis method. Uh, this uh, being divided in criteria, several criteria that the criteria is used to determine the category of student learning outcomes are based on the five scale categorization, namely uh, very high, moderate, low, and very low. And analysis of the data is that has been collected can be described as follow. The first is data of pre-test and post-test result. Uh, Here is three steps in data of pre-test and post-test result. The first is each student's answer is compared with the answer key. Second is give scores on the result of pre-test and post-test um, work. And the last is comparing the pre-test and post-test scores to find out an increase in students' learning outcomes. Student cognitive learning outcomes are calculated using the following formula that you can see on PPT. The second is observation result data. The observation result data includes students' affective and psychomotor assessment data. Observation data are calculated using the following formula that you can see on PPT2. The third is student learning completeness data. The percentage of students' learning outcomes completeness is calculated using the percentage descripting formula as you can see on PPT. And the last is mean value data. The mean value before the action and after the action was taken was calculated using the formula from Sujana 1999. Okay, the last concept in this subject is success indicators. The success of learning in the cognitive aspect is seen from the test result, while the indicator of success in affective aspect are seen from the result achieved by students. While the assessment of the psychomotor aspect, namely a student is said to be complete if students' learning outcomes reach 70% individually with 70% classical completeness. It's according to Priyatiningsih in Umiyati 2005. But according to Mulyasa in 22, indicator of success in this study appear in the increase in students' learning outcomes in each cycle, namely the number of students whose grades increase in the three indicators that have been mentioned before. The example of PBI in English is conducted by Nurzaini Azman and Linkorshin from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. They conduct a research about problem-based learning in English for a second language classroom. Students' perspective. The study is a quasi-experimental study. The purpose of the study report here was to explore the students' perception of PBL and to find out the impact of PBL on the development of students' language skills. The participants of this study were 57 students from two of the 13 classes enrolled in the Foundation English Language course. The intervention was conducted over 16 weeks. The research used two instruments, the self-assessment test and the program evaluation questionnaire. This study, this study provides evidence to show that PBL is good for promoting collaboration and self-directed learning, which are two important skills that university students should acquire. And the positive impact of PBL is students' generic skill and language skill, particularly on speaking, increased, and students' confidence increased in using the language, which is important in language production, for example, in speaking. The last is students are not afraid anymore to make mistakes. And thank you for your attention and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.